The nominative case is for the subject of the verb, and that's indicated by star of the show. And we'll use the same sign, star of the show, for any other nominatives that modify the subject, like the predicate nominative. The genitive is a noun modifier, so this is the sign, kind of like putting a name tag on a noun. Genitive case. The dative case is the case of indirect impact. So the sign for that is simulating sparks shooting out from this hand and impacting this noun over here. Dative case. The accusative case is the case of direct impact. So the verb comes up and directly impacts the noun. Accusative direct object. And we use the same sign for any accusatives that modify the direct object, like predicate accusative. So direct object. The accusative is also the case of motion towards. So we start with the hands apart like this, and the fist indicates the starting position of the motion, motion towards. When we do the ablative, it'll be reversed. Motion towards starts out here, accusative of motion towards. Accusative of motion towards. The accusative is also the through case, indicated this way. Accusative through. So we have accusative direct object, accusative to, accusative through. The ablative case is the case of separation. So we start with the origin of motion against the finger and move away. This is ablative from. It's important to start with the fist in the correct place. This was to. This is from. Ablative is also the location case. In. Ablative in. And it's also the case of association, joining. So ablative with. So the ablative case is from, in, and with. And finally there's the vocative case, the case of direct address, so as if you're waving hi. And then the locative case, another alternative for location. The ablative was one finger, the locative is two fingers. Locative, place where. Ablative, place where. Locative, place where. There's one more accusative sign to be used in indirect statement when the accusative is functioning as the star of the indirect statement. And that starts like an indirect, like a direct object sign, and then turns into a star of the show sign. So accusative subject of indirect statement looks like that. Subject of indirect statement. For the verb tenses, we have tenses that are signed in front of the body and tenses that are signed behind the body. Non-past is signed ahead of the body. Past is signed behind the body. So we have present tense and we have future tense. For future perfect tense, we need to indicate something that's finished before a future time. So we go to the future and then just pull back to indicate that something has happened before this future time. So we've got present, future, future perfect. For the past tenses, we have the unfinished past action, the imperfect. And you just continuously move your fingers to indicate that this action is ongoing or repeated or habitual. So imperfect tense. For the completed past action, the perfect tense, it's just one whack of the finger. So imperfect, perfect. For the pluperfect, we need to indicate an action that happened before this past scenario, because the pluperfect is even further in the past. So we hit the past and move further back. So pluperfect, it's almost like it's double past. It happened before another past scenario. So pluperfect is like this, future perfect is like that. So all six tenses, we've got the present, the future perfect, the imperfect, the perfect, and the pluperfect. If a verb is active, we sign it with a V like this. If the verb is passive, sign it with fingers crossed, as if to indicate a sort of intertwining of the subject and direct object idea in a passive verb. So active verb, passive verb. If the verb is deponent, then we'll do something in between, fingers together like that. So active, passive, deponent. If a verb is in an independent clause, we can sign it by taking the verb sign and sending it upward as if it's on top of itself. It's a main verb. If it is a subordinate verb, then we push it down to indicate that it's below some other clause. So an independent verb, a subordinate verb. Independent, subordinate. The moods are indicated as indicative, so you're talking about things happening. The imperative is a command. The subjunctive is conceived in some way. It's not actual like the indicative, it's conceived in some way. The infinitive is signed here like a verb because we need to be able to indicate tense and infinitives too. So a present infinitive, a future infinitive, a perfect infinitive. So the moods again are indicative, imperative, subjunctive, and infinitive. And that infinitive should be signed according to its tense. That's the Latin sign language.